or a scribe's hands, which had never done work. His right held the reins, his left the whip. His eyes flashed as he greeted this person and that. "And what's your name?" he asked a little girl. She was speechless, unable to fathom that a person of such renown should be addressing her. "Well, tell me." When she stammered that her name was Martha, he only smiled, as if he had always known it. Then he asked intently, "And how old are you?" She cleared her throat and told him. In the 12 years of her life, she had not seen eyes like his. There might be eyes like these in the free cities of the empire and at the great courts, but never before had anyone with such eyes come to us. Martha hadn't known that such strength, such agility of soul could speak from a human face. One day she would tell her husband, and then much later her incredulous grandchildren, who would consider Ulenspiegel a figure of old legends, that she had once seen him in the flesh. In the meantime, the wagon had rolled by, and his gaze had glided elsewhere, to others on the roadside. Again there were shouts of "Tyll has come" along the street, and "Tyll is here" from the windows, and "It's Tyll" from the church square, onto which his wagon now rolled. He cracked the whip and stood up. With lightning speed, the wagon turned into a stage. The two women folded the tent. The young one tied her hair into a knot, put on a little crown, and threw a piece of purple cloth around her, while the old one stood in front of the wagon and began to sing droningly. Her dialect had the sound of the south, of the big cities of Bavaria, and wasn't easy to understand, but we did glean that the song was about a woman and a man who loved each other and were cruelly separated by a body of water. Tyll Ulenspiegel took a blue sheet, kneeled down, flung it, holding on to one end, away from him, so that it unfurled with a crackle. He pulled it back and flung it away again, pulled it back, flung it, and the way he kneeled on one end and the woman on the other, and the blue billowed between them, there really seemed to be water there, and the waves went up and down so furiously that it seemed no ship could sail them. When the woman straightened up and looked at the waves, her face rigid with fright, we suddenly noticed how beautiful she was. As she stood there and stretched her arms toward the sky, she all at once no longer belonged here, and none of us could look away. Only out of the corner of our eyes did we see her beloved leaping and dancing and bustling around and brandishing his sword and battling dragons and foes and witches and evil kings on the difficult journey to her. The play lasted into the afternoon, but even though we knew the cow's udders were hurting, none of us stirred. The old woman performed hour after hour. It seemed impossible that someone could memorize so many verses, and some of us began to suspect she was making them up as she sang. Tyll Ulenspiegel's body was meanwhile never at rest. His soul seemed hardly to touch the ground. Whenever our eyes found him, he was once again elsewhere on the small stage. At the end, there was a misunderstanding. The beautiful woman had obtained a potion to feign death and not be forced to marry her evil guardian. But the message to her beloved, explaining everything, had gone astray. And when he, her true bridegroom, the friend of her soul, at last arrived beside her motionless body, the shock struck him like a bolt of lightning. For a long time, he stood there as if frozen. The old woman was silent. We heard the wind and the cows mooing for us. No one breathed. Finally, he drew his knife and stabbed himself in the breast. It was astonishing. The blade disappeared in his flesh. A red cloth